Good people of YouTube, I'm the Watch Idiot, and over the past few weeks I've started to kind of dip my toes into the world of hi-fi audio, more specifically headphones, and it's been really interesting learning about a whole new world and experiencing a hobby from the point of view of someone who's just starting off. And watching some reviews, honestly, most of the descriptors used for sound make zero sense to me. More to learn, I guess. But anyways, this got me thinking about watches and my journey to where I am right now. I've loved watches since I was a kid, and things got turned up a notch about 15 or so years ago, and then I truly fell off the deep end about 10 years ago, maybe a bit more than that. And it's been a wild ride, and I've learned so much, and I think there are quite a few things that I would have loved to have known back when I was starting, and maybe that probably actually could have saved me some money too. So in this video, I'm gonna go over the advice that I'd give my younger self or anyone who might be starting to explore the world of watches based on the mistakes that I made over the years and the big lessons that I've learned from them over the years. And some of it can kind of seem contradictory, but you know, that's just because there are no rules in this hobby. But I also think that this video can be appreciated by those who are deep into watches, because sometimes I feel like we lose sight of the simple joys of watches as we delve deep into the specs and harden our views and opinions on things. So consider this a reality check, I guess. So let's just get into it. Yeah, mistakes will happen, and that's okay. Just learn from them, and since this is a hobby, enjoy them. I bought a bunch of watches back in 2018, and I ended up selling quite a few of them because I just didn't click with them long term, and I wasn't just gonna keep watches just to keep them. Some might say that I made a whole bunch of mistakes buying all those watches, but I never really saw them as mistakes because I enjoyed the watches while I had them, but I also learned so much about the different types of watches that are out there in this world, because it wasn't all just dive watches back then. But I also learned about my preferences, what I like and don't like in watches, and that's really helped me make more informed decisions afterwards. So one of the things that I learned was that as much as I love time-only watches, three-handers, just the concept of them, the clean aesthetic of them, I just don't wear them enough. So now if I feel the urge to buy a time-only watch that I fall in love with, or a new release or something like that, I now know that I need to take a step back, really think about it, just to see if this is just like a fleeting surge of excitement, or if I actually really do love the watch. And the reason why I know that I don't wear time-only watches very much is because I've taken a wrist shot every single day for the past 7 years. So I have the numbers to back up my thoughts and opinions. So yeah, some said in my last video, or in my state of the collection video, that I have too many of the same watch, aka just divers. I know, but that's just because I've seen over the years, this is just what I gravitate towards and I absolutely love. Main thing, just feel it out. There's no one way to enjoy the hobby. If you want to really research and take your time buying one watch and you end up with maybe just that one watch, or maybe 2 or 3 watches, that's great. Or if you want all chronographs, all field watches, or if you're like me and you just want to experience a whole bunch of different watches, that's all good as well. Just enjoy the process. And on top of enjoying the process, I think that a lot of us in the watch world have forgotten how to just be taken by the wonder of watches, or the wonder of a particular watch. I mean, in the end, a watch is just something that we like to have on our wrist, and it doesn't have to be perfect to make us happy. So just enjoy the watches you like just because you like them. I mean, let's be real. I mean, there's no reason why I should love my SKX as much as I do, you know, given the garbage 7S26 movement over there without hacking or hand winding. But yet, here I am, and I love wearing it. Every single time I wear it for many days in a row. So yeah, go figure. And also, let me just throw in a bonus piece of advice over here. It's a classic one. Just wear whatever makes you happy, because the watch is on your wrist. And I think over the past like 15 years, only like 2 or 3 people have actually noticed the watch and actually said something to me. So yeah, I mean, wearing watches for others is no way to live and enjoy this awesome hobby. I mean, just go live your best life with these watches. So this was a big lesson that I had to learn, but if you're the type who will buy and keep every watch, then go for it. But for me, I was beginning to feel a bit guilty about owning a whole bunch of watches at the end of 2018, and I knew that I should sell some of them, but also at the same time, I loved all my watches and I was attached to them, and I liked wearing them and seeing them and feeling and experiencing them. Nevertheless, it just didn't feel right to own multiple watches that get worn like a few times per year. So what I ended up doing was I put all the watches away that I thought that I would want to sell, and I just lived my life. Some of the watches I wanted to wear again and see again, but there were some watches that I pretty much forgot about completely. So I knew that those were the watches that had to go, as much as I like seeing them in the moment. And even still, selling is tough, especially if it's the first time, because I remember before I sold my first watch, I used to think that it would just be agonizing to think about the watch that I used to own. You know, I'd be missing it and I'd want to rebuy it and I would just be regretting it my entire life pretty much. But in reality, after like selling like 40 plus watches over the years, most watches don't even cross my mind again, and most that do, I'm completely content with, you know, having sold them. And then there are just like a few of them that I really miss, like my Sin 556, I really miss. And then there's only one watch of all the watches that I've sold that I've regretted so much. I actually rebought it recently, and that was none other than the Omega Seamaster 300. So yeah, that was, oh, there are videos about that. So yeah, I'll link up somewhere here. So if you're worried about selling, don't be. Just take a deep breath, you'll be all right. This is also very critical because admiring watches from afar is a huge part of this hobby in terms of learning about watches and keeping the curiosity alive to keep wanting to learn about them. But also this stops financially ruinous decisions being made, which is helpful to say the least. In short, you don't need to own a watch to appreciate said watch. My grail watch for years has, and still is, I think, the Langzone 1815 chronograph. Last I checked, it was like $60,000+. So the chances of me getting one without selling off my entire collection, my car, and you know, some organs, is slim, but that hasn't stopped me from admiring and appreciating what just might be the most beautiful movement I've ever seen. Just the depth on that thing is insane. And the same thing goes for other watches that you might be curious about that are just crazy or unique, and watches that you know you'll never own, but they're cool nevertheless. In the end, this is what the watch hobby is all about for me. I mean, I love reading about new releases and reviews of watches because there's so much to learn out there, and it's just not possible to own every single watch I want. Otherwise, I'd have like hundreds of watches, and I don't have the money to do that, obviously, but more importantly, I learned that I can appreciate watches that I could technically buy if I really wanted to, and this takes a bit more discipline because there's a lot more to consider. And this is a good reminder for myself right now because I still sometimes feel the need to get a watch to experience it, but I give myself a bit of a cool down period to see whether I really want to buy the watch or if it's just, again, a burst of excitement that'll pass by. At the same time though, perhaps a bit contradictory, if you really want to buy a watch and it works for you and you won't be financially ruined by that decision, then just go for it. Try something new. I mean, it can be really rewarding. I mean, I've admired the Longines Spirit time from a distance for a very long time, and I wanted one, but I was worried just because I don't really wear pilot's watches very much, or watches with actual numerals for that matter. But I gave it a go the first time around with the black dial, and then the titanium Spirit time came out and I got it, and it's, I mean, easily one of my absolute favorite watches right now. And I actually want to explore the world of pilot's watches a little bit more right now. So yeah, it worked out. This goes more so for buying because most people don't have unlimited money to spend on watches, which means that if you go crazy buying watches, you're going to get into yourself into a lot of trouble, which for watches is absolutely not worth it. But also it's difficult to appreciate the watches for what they are if a new watch is coming in like every single day or every week, every month, whatever it might be. In the early days, I did buy more watches than I probably should have, like I mentioned before, and this was due to, you know, more income coinciding with me falling deeper into the horological rabbit hole. So I think I bought like 18 watches back in 2018, which to me now in 2024 feels just absolutely insane considering that I didn't even have a YouTube channel back then. I enjoyed each of the watches that I got, and I also learned so much by owning them, but I also realized that I was also getting bored of watches quicker, which led me to buying more watches because of that. And getting bored of watches is not something that I want happening because watches are awesome and I want to be able to experience that same joy every single time I get a watch, and then also when I own a watch long term. So over the past few years, I've moved towards wearing my own watches more and more and doing more exciting things with them, which brings back the joy for free in a way, and versus getting excitement through a new watch purchase, which is undoubtedly exciting and I still enjoy that very much, but at the same time, everything's better in moderation, isn't it? Don't constrain yourself, really depends on how you want to build your collection, but for me, I realized that checking boxes like having a dress watch, a diver, or a field watch, a chronograph, what have you, or having watches for different scenarios just did not work for me. So depending on your type of collection and your wearing habits, don't buy watches for a particular situation unless you really need to. This can lead to too many watches being bought just by justifying a hypothetical situation. So recently I really wanted the Tissot C-Star 100 Quartz GMT. I mean, it's a really cool watch, but do I need another GMT watch? Absolutely not. But I was thinking, okay, you know, this is a quartz watch, it's GMT, it's awesome. So if I ever need it, I can just throw it on, it'll be durable as well and all that good stuff. But I mean, let's be real. I mean, that situation isn't gonna happen. And that's because 99% of the time I end up wearing watches that I just feel like wearing. And even if I have a particularly better watch for a situation. Like, I love the idea of a very simple pared down time only watch for elevated casual attire and whatnot, but I'll end up with my Speedmaster or Black Bay 54 or my Spirit Zulu Time or something like that. Yeah, I simply don't run into many situations where I actually need to choose a watch for a situation or event. And a lot of times when an event comes by, I end up wearing a watch that I want to associate it with that event. So again, it's not really related to the need for a particular type of event. It's just what I feel like wearing. Again, your mileage may vary, but that's just been my experience over the past however many years. And then there's a different type of constraint. I know that I love dive watches. I wear them all the time. I have the numbers to support it. But at the same time, I don't want to feel constrained by only loving divers and being afraid of trying new types of watches, because trying something new can be an absolute breath of fresh air and an absolute palate cleanser. So yeah, just like anything else over here, you just have to find that balance. You just have to find the balance of what makes you happy and being able to enjoy different types of watches, because again, there's just so many different types of watches out there that can be enjoyed. So yeah, there you have it. Let me know down in the comments what types of lessons you've learned over your watch journey. And yeah, until the next video, good day.